is usual, we have a session, but before we go in a little bit deep into the session, um, I would like to start by sharing my screen and talking a little bit about what is Amplifying F#. Amplifying F# was born as an open source initiative that aims to inspire F# developers to chime in and to try to build a better ecosystem. And uh, we The reasons why we want to do that is multiple reasons, but it's because there is a lack of active contributors in the F# ecosystem, and we are here to try to help all of the contributors that need some help to finish their contributions, or they are thinking, oh, maybe I could do this, I could fix this in this library that I'm using, or I could maybe contribute to the F# compiler, to Fantomas, to IONI, to Rider, and all of that. And we are here to try to, make that path easy for you and try to help you to do that. If you visit our website, if you go to amplifyingfsharp.io, you can read more about our incitation while we are doing this. I won't go in detail, but please read this paragraph. Of the last 2 years, we have been doing different initiatives. The first one was sessions. So we had 55 sessions so far, and with a different range of topics, from compiler, from editor tooling, from libraries, tips and tricks, how to debug FSharp code, from Fable, from different versions of the language. We had the FSharp team at some point talking about what's FSharp 9, and so on and so forth. So yeah, please check our sessions, and I think you will learn something here about how to approach contributing to open source and in to FSharp in general. And if you want to be like Vagif, he raised a session in Amplifying F#, and the way he did it is like going to our website and clicking Join Us. When you click Join Us, you will see a form here where you will need to give us your name, the company you work for, or your own company. What time zone are you? What's the topic that you would like to talk about, or what's the specific issue that you want to fix? You can also say the specific project, and also said I'm still trying to figure out what is that I want to work on. You can also provide a link and just tell us a little bit more about what you want to do. Once you do that, we will receive a request, and then we will schedule this session, and yeah, we'll be in contact with you to basically set up the whole session thing. But yeah, so couple of things also worth to mention, that we also ran a F# Essentials initiative that went early this year, that we had multiple online sessions with Ian Russell, which is a member of the community that has an amazing book, and this course is based on his book. So if you visit amplifyingfsharp.io, FSharp Essentials, you can rewatch at your own speed, yeah, the core basics about FSharp, and you will find a video attached to most of these sessions. Um, we also launched early this year a Open Collective initiative, where we are asking you for donations to be able to effectively be more effective and understanding, identifying where we can uh, contribute or improve the F# ecosystem. And all the donations that you have done so far has make a difference in the compiler itself, or in on other projects. So yeah, we encourage you keep donating to us, because we want to make a difference in FSharp, and this will help us a lot, not just to keep the initiative alive, but also the more funding we have, the bigger the problems that we will try to aim to fix. We recently launched release a autumn update for Open Collective, where we explain where we are at and what our plans with the money that we have here, and we just want to make sure that it's clear that we are we're aiming and we are committed to spend that money to make a difference, and not just be another um, another foundation that doesn't do nothing with the money. So yeah, that's that's it. So for today, we have Vagif, who wants to talk about a real-time event visualization using F# and Fable. I will Baggy will introduce himself in a few seconds, but yeah, the topic is really interesting in my opinion. It's a real work case for using event visualization with the Fable and F#, and Bagif had prepared for us a workshop plan. So we will go through a different steps, and we will um, explain the parts of the workshop, and I'm sure we will learn a lot. So yeah, I think we are going for a treat here. And yeah, if you want to follow along, please check this link. I will put it in the chat in a few seconds, so you can follow this if you want. But yeah, without further ado, we'll hand it over to Bagif, and we can start from here.
Thank you, and hello everyone. And okay, I guess I will start from sharing my screen. Okay. Yeah, now it's shared. Yeah, thank you very much for inviting me. And first of all, I would like to just express my appreciation for amplifying F#, for this initiative, for this community. And it's a great place to be. And my wish to present a session here, it has like two sides. First, I would like to sort of pay back some of the experience which I gained here and in other communities. But also I would like to actually motivate people to try what I'm going to show, to try it not just at home, try it at work. Because what I'm going to present is something that we using internally. We have our dashboard on a large screen, and we look at it, and it's with us. And if we see some discrepancies, we pay attention to it. So actually, it's a real use. And we are all backend developers primarily, with almost no JavaScript or CSS expertise. So the reason we started looking into Fable, because we wanted to be more efficient in things we do. And of course, we have great front-end developers around us, but they're busy writing web applications. And I work for Norwegian Broadcasting Corporation. It's everybody knows what BBC is, and this is sort of like BBC, but in Norway. So this is a front page of NRK, and in our little group we uploading media files. So this is tv@nrk.no. So this is a media content that is available at NRK. And in addition, it's some TV news. So here you can also play some videos. So everything which has to do with video, radio, news clips, we provide services for that. So and for us, it's very important to visualize efficiently what we're doing, so we can quickly react on things. And one of the first Fable applications that we implemented at NRK, it was relatively simple, but quite practical. It's Event Store Web. We have lots of services. You see some of them here, which wrote to table store, blob store, some events, and for audit purposes. And we need to be able to quickly look at them. So, for example, if I check subtitle service and then, okay, these are actually real subtitles for some TV program. And it's printed using nicely formatted XML. And the code which formats this XML is just a couple of lines, because we just import React components. And if you select something that uses JSON, here it is. This is JSON. It's another React component which we imported another couple of lines of code. And the whole application is, I think it's between 200 and 300 lines of code for business logic and 200-300 lines view code. That's it. It's Fable, Elmish. So that's the first, the very first historical experience in our organization, and it works very well. So this is another example. It's called Program Viewer. So you can, it's a lot of metadata associated with every TV or radio program. So we can check all this metadata here. So this is a database. This is some blob storage, and so on. So again, everything gathered in one place. And it uses CSS from Bulma library, which none of us really understood how CSS worked, but actually we managed to quickly implement it. And then next was actually this dashboard, which we are going to re-implement. So these are events. It's called Golden Eye, named after one of James Bond movies. So on the left-hand side, you see events which this dashboard receives, and on the right-hand side, you see that the styles which shows different TV or radio programs. This is a test environment, so I can do whatever I like to do with that without risk of breaking anything. So I'm going to send some program to upload. So yeah, you see now it's uploading something. So this is a blue ones. It's files of different media qualities getting uploaded. It's CCs, closed caption, and it's subtitles. And these are events. So it's all using WebSockets. So we have a dashboard for it, for test, for stage, for production. So we can inspect it and see if something is wrong. For example, with this program, if you see something is red, it's subtitles files which are missing. But this is test environment. Probably files are not ready for test environment, so that will come. Yeah, so this program is successfully uploaded, and now it disappears. So we are going to write our own event visualization dashboard, real-time, and it will be based on a real-time event visualization dashboard. So we will we'll be using actually a real thing that we're running internally. And what I will try to show is that how quickly you can actually progress from very simple application to relatively advanced ones. So hopefully you will be convinced to try this and take advantage of it. So with that, I think we are ready to start. So of course, everything begins with creating an empty or almost empty application. So temp is a root of all great new projects. So we'll be using so-called SAFE template. SAFE stands for Saturn Web Framework. A for Azure. We'll not be using Azure here. F, E, and Fable Elmish. So I think I already have this SAFE template installed. So yeah, it's already here. Then I just need to create a project which we'll go to use. So -m means minimal. We don't need many features. And then output Fable workshop. Okay. So let's now open this. Open recent. Yeah. Fable workshop. Open folder, project, temp, Fable workshop. Yes. And of course, you need Ionite to be able to work with this project. Yeah, so you have client and server. We will need server to generate some data. Now it's just doing hello from safe. And this is a client which will be consuming. It connects to this server and that just shows hello from safe. So let's create terminal. Actually, we'll create two terminals. I think we need to increase slightly font size. More and maybe even more. Yeah. So CD, we need to compile our server. CD SRC server. This terminal, it doesn't have large fonts, but that's not really important. We just run .NET run here. So it will start the service. So it has server client, and there is also shared project. And if you look at shared, it has just one route, API hello. This is what client and server will share. So if we look at localhost, hello, I think it should, yeah, hello from safe. Yeah. And we need to start our client, but first we need to do npm install because it's a web application. It's JavaScript application. Fable will compile it to JavaScript. Then we need to run .NET tool restore, I guess, to make Fable command available. And then we will start our Fable client. Yeah. So next is .NET tool restore. And then the next one is, let me copy it to make it big. So we start .NET Fable. It will watch for changes, and it will run to execute npm run start. So then if we go to localhost, let me see, localhost 8080. Yeah, hello from safe. Yeah, so what's going on here? With server, I guess it's pretty simple. It's just a route, hello from safe, and we have a client that also is very simple. The project includes Fable fetch library, which uses it to fetch response from the server. So now we just checked in principle that this communication between client written in Fable and server works. So let's do something slightly more complicated. So now let's learn how to show content of files. So we'll go step by step. First, we test the communication. Now we will load files with events. It's actually real events from production system, which I recorded. So we'll be parsing real stuff, real events. But first, just load from the file in very primitive way. And then we will change it. We'll start parsing it. We'll show strong types. And then we will use WebSocket to show them. So we need to define another route. And then we need to modify the server FS. Okay, here. So let me just to make it quicker. I will be pasting code from some GIST, because if I start typing things manually, then we will not be finished within 4 hours probably. But I will be explaining what I'm doing. So this is change to get files, to get list files, to get file content. So it's pretty simple. It's typical web application that shows responses for different routes. It's just missing something, and it's just missing serializer. So we will need to include it here. let me do it. Okay, let me stop our client application, and then we'll just, actually, I should have stopped this service because we need to recompile anyway. Yeah, okay. So, yeah, we'll stop and reload, develop reload window. Yeah, I think sometimes you need to sort of kick Ionite so it will update.
There is a restart LSP command that you can use, and sometimes it works.
Aha. Mm-hmm.
Give that a try every once in a while.
Yeah. Okay. So yes, I think now we can do .NET Run, and then then we can start our Fable application. Okay. Let me see. But I need to go to first. Let me check this one, API files. Yeah, and now there are no files here, so we need to create some files. Yeah. So there's a public folder where we need to place some files, and then we will create a file which is called single program txt, and then we will have a file which is called multiple programs programs txt. Yeah, and so we'll paste the content of them. Let's start with this single program. It's a relatively small file. Yeah, and then multiple programs. It's a bigger one, which gives some more interesting data we shall be using later for WebSocket communication. Yeah, let me just find this. Yeah, it's here. Multiple programs. Yeah, so it's about 1,000 lines. So if we go back to our, yeah, it shows files, and then if say single program, yeah, so we get it. So now the web server works, and so now we need to modify client, so it will become more interesting. So to teach our Fable client to execute this request and then get the files, we need to add some couple of more files, NuGet packages. So this is what we have. We get it from the save template, and I think it's time perhaps to update them, because Fable core is 3.7, and we will, yeah, now it's 4.3, and I tested today. There are no backward compatibility problems, so it should work. Then we need Fable browser DOM, and then we need to update Fable fetch. There is one additional file we need to add. It's Fable simple HTTP. Yeah, and we will be using React for our web applications. So we need to add a couple of other NuGet packages. It's Fable React, and of course we will be using Fable Elm-ish. Again, I don't have time to explain the Elm principles, but Fable Elm-ish, it implements MVU pattern, model view update, which is extensively used in language Elm. Also, React itself follow the same pattern. So just read about Elm and Fable Elmesh. It's relatively simple concept, as we will see. I think instead of going theoretically, I will just show how this works. How our model will look, how update function will look, and how the view will look. Okay, now I think it's all we need. We also need serializer. We need salt fetch. So now we have all packages, but in addition, we need to add npm React because we don't have that. Again, with Fable, you don't need to use React. There are some alternatives, but this works very well, and also you can take advantage of some React development tools, and I will try to show one later. And then we have React DOM. Yeah. So okay. Now we have just client FS, and it's time to split it because it no longer fits. So we will have it split it into two. We'll have UpFS and IndexFS. But in index, we will have all like model view update, and UpFS will bind them. So what we're going to do is we'll change the project definition. Here it is, client FS, no longer needed. Just do identity right. Oops. Yes, and of course, this we don't need. Client, we can delete one, and we can rename client FS to IndexFS. IndexFS, and we will add UpFS. UpFS, okay. And then in index HTML, we'll need to change client FS to UpFS, and also we will need to add a new div here. Okay, in the opening, I think it should add it here. Yeah, it's Elmesh up. Yeah, but then we need to provide something here, and UpFS will look like this. Model up, we open Elmesh React, and it complains because we didn't update our index, and we're going to do it in a second. This will be, we no longer need that. Yeah. So I'll come back in a couple of, well, more than a couple of seconds to explain how it works, but let's first see if it works. So .NET Fable clean, just to clean the cache, and then we can start. I think we have it in the history. Yes, npm run start. Okay. Right. Now let's come back here. File loader. Single program txt. Okay. Let me see. Let us see what's wrong here. If we enable like F12 here, think I know what it is. It's yeah, accesses, block, origin, course, yeah, security. So we need to fix that. It's actually good that it happens because we have opportunity to fix it and learn how to fix it. So we need to we need to fix it on the server side. We go to server FS, and then we open Microsoft ASP.NET Core course infrastructure, and then we add a function that will configure course. Okay. So, and then we add, and we call it here. So let's restart it now and see if it helps. And it does. Okay. Yeah, so we have single program. What we do, we write something here, we click on load, and then it loads the content. So how does it work internally? So let's check these Elmish principles. So we have a model, and model is here. It's file name events, which is just string because we don't parse anything, and error if there is an error. So if I specify, for example, single program 1, and I have such file, so error 404. So then it displays this error here. Yeah. So so far so good. We have a model, and this model is sent to we initialize it with init, and then when we start the application, we start it with init. Then we need to be able to update our model. So everything's immutable. We never edit anything in place in the model. So we get the model, we get the state, we apply update function, and then we return a new state, new instance of the model. So this is how update looks. If a file name change, then we change the file name, and this shows what is the next command in chain. Nothing else we need to do. The same if you have events loaded, we just update events, nothing to do. But when I push load buttons, so here in the view, here down on the bottom of the file, you see that view binds the UI elements with update functions and the model. So here on click, dispatch load events. So so when I click on load, it goes to load events. So it resets events and error, and then it asynchronously calls load events. So this is executed asynchronously. And then on return, if it's a error, then we get an error. If it's not, then we go to events loaded. So this is how the life cycle of application works. We have model, you have view, which binds model elements and update functions, and you have update functions which transfers model into another instance of model, and potentially with some next command which needs to be executed. So again, please read. If you are completely new to Elm and MVU, then please read about it. It's nice reading, but it's actually quite straightforward, sort of, to grasp the principles. And I hope that this little application explained that. So now we only load this text as a like bunch of lines, and we want to be able to play back individual lines of files. So let's get things like more complex, more complicated. So far, any questions about what we did? Anything which I need to explain more, or is it clear?
So from the chat, I don't see any questions so far. I was just while you were explaining about the learning materials, I just referenced the session description where they can see the prerequisites, the learning materials, and some of the resources that you mentioned on the session, and also mentioned the Elmish book created by Said as a good learning resource for Elmish lifecycle and application. In YouTube, we had a recommendation about a book. the functional programming field by Harris on 1993. So yeah, so far just some not question, but just basically some things over there.
Mhm. Mhm. Great. So because now we will be getting slightly more advanced, but first we'll need to restructure our project because now everything is just in one file, which in index fs, which is okay, it's 50 lines of code, but the structure becomes more complicated and we will be using strong types, not just strings. So I think it's time to split it. Also, I wanted to use opportunity to show like how you grow up your Fable project. So if you look at client FSproj, now it has only index and up, and we are no longer happy with just having everything in index. So let's just split it into several files. Actually, we're splitting into 4 files, not just MVU for model view update, but we will also have separate file for messages. Because it's nice to keep all your messages separately from your model. So okay, index.fs.js we don't need, and then we can rename index.fs to model. So let's start from model and okay, model FS. Yeah, so this is our model. So we have file name, and then we will be playing line by line. So we have some playback delay. Also, some is playing, so we know that if we are currently playing something. And then we have events. Now it's no longer just one string for the whole file. It will be array of string, and then event index, where what are we currently playing, so you can go to the next line. So pretty simple model. So messages, let me introduce the messages. And it's also nothing really very complex. I mean, actually nothing here is complex. New file, messages fs. Yeah, oops. Messages fs, yeah. So what changes do we have? File name changed, playback delay changed, and we will have now buttons to start playback, post playback, stop playback, also going to next event, and so on. Then, of course, we need to update our update function for the new model and new messages. So let's create a client, new file, update fs. Okay. Yeah. So update, just like in previous example, it just has more messages to process. So same thing for file name changed. There is a new function for playback delay change, and then there are some functions for starting playback, post playback, stopping playback, and then going to next event. So some of them spawn some asynchronous activity. For example, start playback. Of course, we don't load anything just immediately on start playback. We just start asynchronous operation, which is load events. And load events, it requests events from the web service. As you see that we haven't changed our backend server at all. It's the same backend server which will stay almost until the end of the session. We just get back this event, but we'll start just splitting into lines so we can play individual lines. Okay, so finally, view, because since now we changed our model, and then our view will need to be different. New file, view fs. Okay, view. Yeah. So it's yeah, it's basically HTML with some handlers. So on button, start with start playback, on pause playback, and so on. So did we do everything? I think application, of course, needs to update because we no longer have this index. So we need to open update. I think we need to open view, and then oops, and then we can just remove index. Okay. Yes, program, I need to update view. Let me restart this table. Yeah. Okay. Yes. Okay. So single, or maybe multiple programs txt. Play. Yeah. So it's playing now. And we can pause. We can restart. And again, it's if you look at date function, it's quite simple. And it looks like F#. It's kinetic union. But it's pretty ugly. So I think it's time to start caring about user interface, because it's sort of very sort of engineerish UI without any love. So first thing let me stop it, and then on the next step, it will be relatively small step. We will replace direct calls to Fable React with calls to Felice library. And it's a tactical step, and it's opinionated step. There is nothing wrong with just using React elements directly here, or their sort of FSharp wrappers. But if you want to know like more motivation for using a Felice library, you can read, I have a reference to that article by Maxime Manguel, My Journey with Felice, a comparison between Fable React and Felice. So you get better, like strong type experience if you use Felice. Also, it integrates nicely into like CSS libraries which you import. You get IntelliSense all the way, which I'll show how it will look. So what we're going to do now, we will stop it, and then no changes to backend. It's just user interface changed. Create a new package, Felice, and then we will need to change our view. This is sort of React-based view, and this is Felice-based view. So actually, you see HTML elements here, but you see they are prefixed with module. So also it's slightly different use of lists. Okay, and you will soon see how it integrates nicely with other with CSS. Okay, so speaking about CSS, now it's time to add CSS and font awesome to Fable app. So again, look at this. It's not nice, and we'll start just in this section use some nice buttons, nice fonts. So let's go back to our code and then look at index.html. So here, before the closing head tag, we will add reference to Bulma CSS and add reference to font awesome. And you will see in a few minutes why we need font awesome. Okay, let me see. Do I need to do? yeah, probably that will be everything we need to do with index HTML. But we want IntelliSense, we want F# type providers for our UI stuff. So we add a couple of new packages, type CSS classes, and Feliz Bulma. And then we need another UI-related file, which is called styles.fs. So we will add it just on the top of the project, and then we will create it client new file styles.fs. Okay, and then yeah, so it will, yes, it will provide this binding to this Bulma CSS and awesome font. Also, we'll make slight change to messages. Now, this until now we will be working with file names directly, but we want combo box where you choose like what kind of event set you want. So let's change it now. So we'll have event set changed of string, and then I think we'll need some small changes to model. Let me look at it. Model, yeah. So now it no longer has file name. It has like event set, which can be either small or large. So you will be able to select it. And you see there are red update and views, which mean that, of course, we need to change them accordingly because we changed something in the model. So it's a small change, but yeah, you see file name changed. It's no longer such message. So we now event set changed. And then the same, I think we need to do in the view. Okay. Going to view. Yeah, the essence of the view is the same, but file name changed is no longer here, so we replace it like with event set. And let me show you how it will work now. And then we will look at what happened in the view file. So mostly it's view which is affected. Okay, run start. Okay. Yeah, still compiles. Yeah, okay. So you see, it's now we're getting somewhere. So a single program, okay, multiple programs, fast playback, and then start. And then this still looks not very nice, but we'll be working on it. But now I can pause using nice button. Actually, this is part of font awesome. Then I can replay, continue playing. So now CSS and font awesome are applied. So if you look at the view, we see we see how it works. So actually, we have now IntelliSense. So for example, for pause button, we chose from font awesome pseudo letter, which is called pause circle. So how we found it? Let me look at it. So yeah, I see that. Pause circle. Yeah. So you see there are different versions of pause circle. Most of them are you need to pay for that, but our application is free, so we can, I guess, we are entitled to use free version of circle pause. So and you just type FA dot, yeah, and then you can choose among hundreds of available pseudo characters. And the same with Bulma table, Bulma column. So for me as a backend developer, if I had to use CSS directly, I would be lost totally. And this is a great help for me to get a better orientation of what can I do. And okay, Bulma. I don't know what Bulma is. I didn't know before I started. Then I checked some other web pages that use Bulma, and then I look at these IntelliSense capabilities, which I get using from Bulma CSS. And then relatively quickly, I realized how I built layout with Bulma, using Bulma tables, columns. So we will use more of Bulma. Okay, so soon we are going to enter WebSockets. Now, while we are on the user interface part, any questions? Anything which needs maybe more explanation for the time being?
Not from the chat. The chat is okay, and YouTube is also okay. So yeah.
Okay. Yes. By the way, we no longer need this Fable workshop, I guess. Maybe we can remove the whole. Yeah. So I think it's fine. Yeah. So next section, from file lines player to events player. So still, if we play now our events, we just playing them as strings. So which prevents us from showing them nicer. So let's start parsing them. And again, this is something which I recorded from our production system. So it's real events which were recorded. So we need to provide some domain types for them, and then we need to parse them. So that will be the next section. Actually, there are in total 10 steps. We are already on the 7th step. So actually, we're moving on quickly. We're almost at sort of WebSocket part. So now we will go to our shared folder, shared FS, and this one will become more complicated because we will share our domain types between server and client. So let me find the gist with new version of shared, and it will be much bigger because you may sort of look at it as complex, but again, remember that I didn't make up some demo of simple things which I deliberately created for the demo sake. This is events which generated by real system. So because of that, I needed to create like strong types for every element of this of these entities. So for example, here, remote subtitles update, or major set remote subtitles update, which consists of major set ID, some ID of TV or radio program, storage provider. There are 2 different storage providers. Reference to subtitles, remote state, which can be like completed or pending or failed, and remote result of last operation. So and there are a lot of discriminated unions here. So it will help us to parse these strings and to get strong type events, which you will see will improve dramatically user interface. So okay. So we're done with shared, and now we will need to update client. Client model. Okay. We need to import shared namespace. Yes, and we will need to change this main model type. It's not big change, but now it's events. It's no longer string array. It's DTO media set event array. So, and then of course we need to update FS and view FS because we now have a new model file and we need to update dependent models accordingly. Yes, so it's not big difference. It's just that it no longer treats these events as strings. It treats them as strong types, and because of that, there will be quite a significant change in view. Let me go to the view. So until now, view was just showing our strings for events. And now, you see, it tries to show something more interesting. It uses different colors. In Bulma, they have a tradition of naming colors by not colored words. For example, there is a name for primary color, link color, info color, success color, and so on. So we are using those. So let me see if actually we can. Yeah, you see. So it's so much nicer than just black and white text line. So for example, this means state segmenting. It's a file being segmented at the origin. It's a program ID. It's the origin ID. It's a quality 1266 quality ID, and it's time. And this is completed. This is uploading, and so on. So so the whole difference came from the fact that we started parsing our strings and converting into strongly typed events, and then we can send them to the view, and view would present them accordingly. So it's looking much better, but also if you look at the original dashboard that I showed you, here there are some live tiles, which is nice to have, especially if something fails, you have it as a reminder. So currently we just show some events, and we don't show any live tile here. So let me see. This probably will be next step. Okay. Actually, live tiles comes as a step after we implement socket. Okay, let's do sockets first. So currently we still getting stuff by sending HTTP requests. So if you look here, the web service hasn't changed since almost the beginning of our session. It's just sending the files. So we want to start using WebSocket communication. So every event will be sent as WebSocket data. So then we need to change both server and client to do that. So we add to the server, we add a new package, Elmish Bridge Giraffe. So we'll be using Elmish Bridge library. It's a WebSocket library for Fable. And we need to add a new package .json for properly formatting this event. And then if we go to shared, let me see. Yeah, it's a shared. Now we have two routes. There will be third route, which is called socket. So we will no longer call files route. We will no longer request a file. We will connect to the socket. And then we need to define some socket commands. So if we can do it here in the bottom of this shared. Yeah, so we can connect to the socket. We can send commands, load messages, and then it will start streaming messages. Set playback, delay, start playback, pause, stop playback. Yeah, and also we are going to split server on web server and socket server. So if you look at server FS project, let me do web. First comes socket server and then web server. Web server. And we will rename server FS to web server FS. And let me paste. Yeah, and then we will need to, it reference socket server, so we need to create a new file, socket server fs. Yeah, socket server. So here we define server messages and connection state, like connected, disconnected. So there is something new comparing to like how typical web server works. But it uses this Elmish bridge library internally. But it's relatively straightforward. You have to register your bridge register. You register a client command. You register what kind of message you will be sending when down closed. Yeah, and run on Giraffe server. So yes, I think we are done with the server part. Yes, I think so. Let's try .NET run on it. And then we'll look at the client, because client also needs to be updated because it needs to communicate to the circuit server. Okay, we need to add to the client Elmish bridge client. It's a client part of Elmish bridge library, which adds a WebSocket communication. And then we need to go to app.fs and we need to configure our socket, our bridge. I think we need to add namespace open Elmish bridge. Yes, and you see it complains about Mediaset event because we need to reflect it. Our messages change. So let's do some changes to that. So there will be some small changes, I think, to the model. This is the original model. This is a new DTO Mediaset event list. And then if you look at the messages, those will have something which is socket related messages. Yeah, so now it needs to have a message about connect socket. Yeah. And then we need to have update function changes for socket communication. Yeah, here is connect socket, init socket state, init socket. Where is that? Yeah, bridge send. It's we're calling bridge library. Yeah, socket connect, get file name. Yeah, so we initiate socket communication here. And finally, view. Let me see if view. It says that view. Yeah, because it's the type of events have been changed that we're receiving. So we need to change view accordingly, but it's just very simple change, just one line that needs to be changed. So with that, I think we can try to run it and see if we're getting socket communication. Okay, .NET Fable watch. Okay. Multiple programs, fast playback. Okay. Yes, combination works, and now it's socket-based, and we will have a proof that it's socket-based when we will use time-traveling debugger and actually show. I will show you in Chrome debugger tools. But now it's a lot of white space here, so let's add some lifetiles. So let's do some small changes. We'll rename major set event, I think, to remote event. Remote event. Yes, and then is it reflected here? Yeah, it's reflected here. And then we will add new message, remove countdown, where we'll be saying lifetiles, and when the program is TV or radio program is completed, it will have a countdown and up to 10 times, and then it will remove the tile. And then we need to have new model files, and as we did it with everything else, more complex architecture requires more complex model. Now it's really more complex model because we defined some new types for lifetiles, and it needs to know more of domain logic. You will see in a moment how it works. It's worth it to do this change. And then update, model update. Yeah, we need to synchronize it with our model changes. Yeah, but essentially it's the same types of commands: event set change, playback, delay change, start playback, post playback, stop playback, and then remote event. So we can have now two different events. We can have like media set event, which will be displayed on the left-hand side, and then media set state. It's the state of this tile which is changed. So this is why we needed to do this change. And view, I think, will also be modified because now we have view for lifetiles. Yeah, so it shows remote events, and now it shows. Let me see, boom columns, playback special, stop button. Yeah, show the painting media sets. These are lifetiles. Okay. Let me see if it's. Yeah, you see, what's happening here is that we're displaying here events which we receive using sockets, and at the same time we're updating lifetiles, which shows state of different TV and radio programs. And there are two rows because there are two storage providers. Like they're for redundancy reasons, they're uploaded into different storage spaces. This actually have 5 failures. I think I deliberately created something with failures, so it shows. Yeah, this is red one. It's an unrecoverable fable, which means like file is missing. This is something that failure in transit. For example, I received something like 500 response from web server, but we will try again. So yeah, but it's all working. Last but not least, and also just to explain why, because there are different technique you can use to implement that, and web socket is not the only one. But if you use stuff that is built around React, you can actually take advantage of React development tools. So we will enable Elmer's debugger using Redux development tools. So let's go back to our application, and we will add remote dev. And this is a controversial step because this remote dev hasn't been updated for like 6 years, and it contains some vulnerable dependency. So you can do a few things about it. You can actually force this dependency to use other version, not the one which has high vulnerability. Then you can just remember that you're doing it only in your local development environments, as Maxime Mangel, who he commented on the issue, saying that just we can't really do much about it, and then as long as you're doing this locally, that's you know what you're doing. You're not going to deploy it in production. Or maybe you can contribute to the project and then rewrite this dependency. So what we will do, we will add Elmesh debugger, and we will add to our program to UpFS. I think maybe we got it here. Program with debugger, I think. Then we need to open Elmesh debug. Yes, and then last but not least, I think that I have to do something in something like this. Don't ask me why, it's just sort of to make this this work. Okay, let's restart this application. Okay. Then we go to Redux. Yeah, and then you see what's going on here. And then remote events, you have state, you have diff. And if I pause this, actually I can go back in time. You see? Yeah. So I can go back and forth in time, and it's it really helped while I was working at this application, because it's not always you need this time traveling debugger, but if you're stuck with state transition in your application, it can save you some time. And also that's one of the reasons why I chose using based on React, because I really wanted to stay sort of close to Chrome development tools, also being uncertain as myself as a backend developer. I felt that, okay, maybe I will need that help. And then it's really it can help for applications like I showed you in the beginning, Event Store, Web Program Viewer. It's not really you needed that, because they're not bidirectional application, and then you don't really benefit from time traveling debugger. But it's very nice integration into a React ecosystem. So with that, I think I reached the end of these 10 steps. I was really afraid that this demo will take much longer time because of the amount of information I wanted to show, but I didn't want to split it onto multiple sessions. And I wanted also to show that you can quickly advance when you start working with Fable and Elmesh. and you can sort of quickly do something that really looks nice and works. So with that, thank you for your attention, and I'm open for questions.
Thank you, Vagif. Yeah, it was a really informative session. I definitely think the time travel debug, it's a, like as you say, a local development feature where, let's say, an example, there is a bug report that been raised by, let's say, by your QA, and by using the time travel debugger, you will be able to kind of set your application in the same state that the bug was raised. Let's say it needs to be in certain conditions that your system needs to be in order to trigger that bug. And having this kind of debugging tool is really powerful because you can just basically go by in time and just set the model to the state that you want the model to be, or in order to see, that is the bug, and then it's easy to fix. And yeah, I have working MBU application in the past. I am one of the maintainers of Fabulous, and we use MBU for the UI application as well. And yeah, it's when you develop production apps or business apps, business application apps, having MBU is like, like, I guess it gives you a little bit more of confidence, but it also has a boilerplate issue that you need to deal with. But it's part, let's say, it's part of one of the trade-offs. But yeah, definitely, I really like the session, and I think yeah, I haven't seen content like this out there that really takes the Fable safe stack and to this kind of explanation, or this kind of showing you how to go from zero to hero, I guess, and just using real events and all of that. So yeah, it was really good.
Thank you. I have a question for you. I know that, as I mentioned, that WebSocket, it's not sort of the only alternative, and then you have also Fable remoting, and this time traveling debugger aside, what do you think if team wants to implement a Fable-based project? What would you choose? Like, would you go with Fable remoting, or would you go with this LMesh bridge and WebSockets, and why?
I mean, based off my limited experience on WebSockets, I think, it has their use case, but normally, if you just want to share the types, let's say from the front end and the back end, and you want to still have a, you know, just a API, gateway or something like that, just basically it's good enough to use Fable remoting with. I think it's based on the library, the FSharp remoting or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Y- Yeah, and WebSocket, I mean, it has a use cases. I haven't had to use it yet, but maybe someone in the chat can give us a little bit more of opinion on there. But for if I don't need WebSockets, I would just use Fable remoting, I guess.
Mhm.
If I don't need that really like real time, like pure real time use case, I would just use Fable remote.
Yeah, probably. Also, my impression was that if you start with February Musk, maybe it's quicker start. And because what I found, that if you look at this additional some code which you use from LMesh bridge, let me show you. If you need something on your socket server, you need some define this socket server bridge register, yeah, and then you need to define something on the client bridge views URL mode with mapping, this bridge config, and so on. So it works as we saw, but sort of you may use some sort of additional time to understanding how you wire these things up. So maybe this sort of bootstrapping can be easier with Fable remoting.
Yeah, and I guess you need to know exactly, in what order it needs to be called, those functions and all of that. And maybe if the underlying implementation of Elmer's bridge changes or something like that, you can basically not rely on that. Well, I think Fable remoting is just they use the primitives. They rely on the primitives that .NET uses. So it's more like, I guess, vanilla, or it's more like a straightforward in that regard.
Uh, yes. Anything else I forgot to mention, or any sort of additions to what I said? Any questions from other people?
Just check YouTube. No, we are good. Yep. And then the chat. No, I think it's, to be honest, it was really clear. I mean, even myself, I didn't have any question. So yeah, it was really informative, and I think that's the really headline of the session. I feel like, rewatching this session, maybe in a week, I will be able to get to the same steps, because you made it really easy to follow the steps, and I will be able to replicate this. It's at my own speed, on my laptop and all of that. So yeah.
Just also to mention about those replicating the steps. In the workshop description, it has reference to these GISTs, which you can use. But also the the project repository, it has 10 different tags, like step 1, step 2, step 3. So you can just jump in Git check out step 1, Git check out step 2, and you're going to exactly sort of step which implemented that part of the project. So it's easy also just to go step by step. If you, for example, stuck, or if you didn't properly write something and then you want to go back, just go to Git command line, select the proper step, and then it will bring you exactly to the place where the step was implemented. So I hope that also it will make it easier to replicate this session if you want to.
Yep. I'm sharing my screen. Can you see my screen?
Um, should I stop sharing mine? I don't see yours, but let me see.
Let me try again. Desktop 2, right. What about now?
Oh. Let me share. Let me stop sharing. Okay, now I see.
Yeah. So yeah,
So now
yeah.
I see. Yeah.
Cool. Just to wrap up the session, yep, as Vagif mentioned, go back to the amplifying FSharp sessions, the page for today's session, and just if you want to follow this at your own speed, just please read the workshop plan, and there are some links here that are really well explained. So yeah. If anything from you, Jimmy, but if not, I think, again, thank you very much for taking the time of submitting this session, and yeah, it was really informative. And this is always your house, so if you if you want to come back with another session, or you want to tell us more about, you want to, contribute to other open source F# stuff, let us know. We are here to help. The same for everyone in the chat.
Yeah. Thank you.
Right. Let
Don't
me.
hesitate to ask me. There are my contact information if you need. Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. I will stop live stream.